a personality shaped by being an athlete and a background in mainstream sports media, I found that the stories I was most interested in telling were the ones often overlooked, the ones that might not otherwise be told, the ones that show the intangible and not just the highlight reel. The Sports Council is about highlighting the great, the good, the unique, and everything in between in the Pacific Northwest sports world. I'm Jamie Council. Thanks for joining me.
You're listening to the Sports Council on 1340 ESPN, the Tri-Cities leader in sports.
Welcome to the Sports Council on 1340 ESPN, your Tri-Cities leader in sports. I'm Jamie Council, and we're joined by Missy Strasburg, head coach of Eastern Washington women's soccer. Missy, welcome.
Thank you. Awesome to be here.
It seems like a lot of time, but yet no time has passed since last season. So we're talking Eastern Washington women's soccer. And last year, you guys blew expectations out of the water. So that's where we're going to start. How did you feel exiting last season? Because you guys had the ability to do better. That's something we talked about, but still getting picked to finish second to last and finishing third. That's not too bad.
No, not at all. I think clearly on the exit, I think that's still pretty fresh for most of us, to be honest. It's not been a negative thing. I think the players in particular are incredibly motivated to respond to that. There is something to be said. There was nobody on that roster who'd played in the postseason. Like I said, it'd been a stretch. So, there was a little bit of strange nerves, I would think. They were excited. They were focused. And it's just the way the game goes. Quite honestly, Portland State had a great game, played very well. And when it comes down to PKs, it's just the nasty of our sport. It's like finishing a hoops game with free throws. But it is part of our game. And I think for us walking away from that, I don't think anybody was particularly satisfied with that result. Yeah, in terms of outdoing expectations, again, a lot of credit goes to those players and those seniors that we graduated last year in particular. Elizabeth Cole, obviously being a Tri-Cities kid, they, a lot of games in 23 that we dropped were 1-goal games, like a lot. And it doesn't take that much of a difference. We talked about that coming into 24, which was, yeah, we had a really, really rough season, but we were truly only 3 goals away from finishing third in the conference last year. That's how tight the Big Sky is. Rolling that into 25, going into 25, following 24, we're in the same situation. The difference is we're just 2 goals away from winning it. And it's a much nicer place to be shooting from, from a top 3 position. But I appreciate that the team's response to that in terms of wrapping their head around it and saying, we don't need to be 8 teams better. We need to be 3 goals better. And that's something that we can control. So a lot of credit. I just can't speak enough about the commitment that last year's upperclassmen put in to, I wouldn't say changing the culture. I think just holding more things accountable to the standard, both on and off the pitch. And when you get the right group of people together, we had a talented freshman class last year. Good things happen, so we're ready to turn the page and we're certainly shooting as high as possible, as always.
So what's the focus right now? Because obviously you guys have built the foundation heading into now your 5th year at the helm of Eastern Washington women's soccer. And it's hard to start building something because you have to start from ground zero. And that's tough when you're not seeing results in a season or 2. And it's just part of what it is. And last year, you guys finished 9-5-5. So you talked about those 1-goal losses, but also 4-1-3. So you take a look, you guys also tied a lot of games. So is it just part of the game, or are you guys focusing on that portion of finishing out games?
Yeah, we talk about the spread, right? Like we're talking about just that very slim margin. So our focus has really been in the last, 10 months to continue to do what we're excellent at. And there are several things. I do think we have elements to our play that have grown into being the very best version of that in the conference. And like everybody else, we have some Achilles heels. We have some challenges that we've needed to work on and address. So we spent a good portion of the spring, I think, really expanding on the things we've done well. So we feel even more confident coming into this fall. And then, this first 10 days, definitely as we roll in, a batch of 8 new faces, is recommitting ourselves to, in particular, shutouts. Really, truly, there's a couple different ways to alter those ties into wins. And some of it is, certainly some teams, and I can say this, when I got here, 2021, we're like, man, we probably are going to be in a situation where we had a great goalkeeper. We can be stingier. And into 22, we graduated a lot, and we were like, we were probably going to have to outscore teams here while we're a little young at the back, and getting more experience. The great thing about our team going into this year is that we are old in a great way. And I say that in the best possible terms. We return a massive amount of really impactful players back into our lineup. And ultimately we're talented, in that group of experience. So it makes it a little bit easier when you aren't asking, fresh into camp, 7 days of training, young freshmen to come in and in bulk carry the load for the team. So we've been a bit young in years past as we've tried to turn the corner with this program. Not as quickly as I would have liked. Obviously, patience is not one of my finer virtues, but there have been incredibly important steps in these 5 years. I go back even to that 2023 challenging year. We opened that season with an exhibition tie at Washington, and then a tie with Oregon State. So like we've had some really good successes for this program. But the main part of where we are now is just consistency, right? Like being at our best very consistently, being a little stingier with how we defend, and then continuing to be explosive in the attack. Certainly as the highest scoring team in the Big Sky, that is something we want to make sure continues.
Absolutely. And we'll get more into the team in segment 2. And you are the reigning Big Sky Coach of the Year. How did it feel for you, as you've had a little bit of time to reflect back on that?
Yeah, I said it in the moment, and I really do believe in that. And I honestly, it just echoes, I think, the way I've genuinely felt since I've arrived here. This story is not about me. I think as a local player and somebody that's native to Eastern Washington and Spokane, when I came home, a lot of people wanted to make that the story. And for me, it's not. It's about these 28 women. And in particular, that I'm very grateful for it. And I'm very, very flattered. But I do work with great women. And most importantly, attached to that is I've been able to draw in a really incredible staff. I mean, it's a combined effort. I learned pretty early, like I cannot do this by myself. So in terms of the full-time status, having Nate Olness with us, who's got some longevity with me certainly right now is a great symmetry. And he brings a lot in terms of his energy and how he trains, in particular, helps with our goalkeeping. And then Hayden Hollinger coming in from, various spots, including Oklahoma State and Kentucky. And he's been a massive addition in terms of being able to really, share duties and take on a good part of the coaching with new ideas and fresh thoughts. And, I really do believe additions from both of those men that have helped us grow forward.
And of course, local, you played at Gonzaga. You are more of the defensive-minded defender. So how would you say, I know this is far from your first stop of your coaching career. You've gone to a lot of places, but how would you say that your coaching style has changed the most?
That's a great question. I think I kind of go back to my first or second stops. I mean, I was really, really blessed that my first couple stops in college coaching were with Eddie Radwanski and Jeff Robbins out at UNC Greensboro, who are now, 18 years into coaching at Clemson, 17 years, I think, and they've done an amazing job, Final Four and the whole bit. And then my second stop was at the University of Washington with, Leslie Gallimore and Amy Griffin. And I don't know if there's two greater women to watch and learn from in terms of how to create a really high demanding culture and a lot of success within a program, but to really value the women and the people, the people side of what we do in coaching, and how much joy mixed with competing was in that environment. Again, that was a special team. I remember Leslie telling me pretty early on in preseason, she's like, it's not like this all the time. And I kept thinking, what are you talking about? This is amazing. They're all fit and they're all hardworking and they're like wildly committed to each other. And then you travel and you're like, oh, I get it. I get what she's talking about. It's not, that was an incredibly special group of players at UW that year. So it is, I think we just all evolve, really, truly. We want to keep learning as coaches. I spent a lot of time talking to other people. There are so many generous people in our industry that are willing to pick up the phone or meet on the sideline post game and say, what are you guys doing? I really was really fascinated with that part of the match. Or what are you doing with your leadership and your team culture? So, I think we're just in a really great spot in the industry of people that want to share. And I'm hopeful that I can be in a position to contribute that to others when I have the chance as well. But I think the biggest thing I've probably learned, I don't know, man, it feels like a lifetime at this point. It's a whole second lifetime, is the importance of just being fluid, right? Like working incredibly hard to communicate and coach individuals the way that they need to be coached. I am truly a much more introverted, focused, stoic person. It's just who I am. And it's how I like to be coached. It doesn't work like that for other players, So meeting them where they are, even though that might be uncomfortable for me to dig into some language and some anger, but if that's what somebody needs for a response, I'm going to provide that, And then as the team, I think I learned that the most here, going from 21 to 22 to 23. Again, I inherited a pretty old team in 21 that had been deep in a conference tournament play. They just were a different animal, and to try to coach the team the same way in 22, they just had different needs. And I think I actually did a pretty poor job adapting to that in terms of just the change of personality, right? We graduated 9 players. We brought in 15 post-COVID, right? It was bananas everywhere. But I do think that was probably, if I'm going to hold myself accountable to that, that's something I've learned is, okay, who are we? What does this team look like right now? And what do they need collectively as a group from us to continue to get better?
Well, we're going to answer what the team looks like when we come back. Again, we're catching up with Missy Strasburg, head coach of Eastern Washington Women's Soccer. You're listening to the Sports Council on 1340 ESPN, your Tri-Cities leader in sports.
Fall is coming early to Krispy Kreme. Starting August 11th, Pumpkin Spice is back with our Pumpkin Spice Cake and Pumpkin Spice Latte. We're still escaping to Italy through August 17th, but pack your bags because Hogwarts is next. Starting August 18th, try our magical new Harry Potter donut collection. 4 house donuts plus a special sorting hat donut. Need a sweet school fundraiser? Krispy Kreme makes it easy and profitable. Just ask in store. Visit us at 2805 Duport Trail in Richland. Come in with a sweet tooth. Leave with a smile.
Is your water softener doing its job? At Softwater Specialists, we understand the importance of clean, efficient water treatment systems. That's why we offer our annual maintenance program to keep your system running smoothly year-round. Our certified technicians perform a comprehensive checkup and calibration to ensure optimal performance and longevity, finding potential problems before they arise. With Softwater Specialists, you can say goodbye to water problems and hello to hassle-free maintenance. Visit softwaterspecialist.com or call us today to schedule your service. Softwater Specialists, because we want to make sure your water is working for you.
Looking for a great deal on a new Chevy? Now you can get more than a great price. You can make a difference. During Wheels Make Wishes Come True at McCurley Chevrolet, a portion of every new vehicle sold helps grant wishes for local Make-A-Wish kids. Save big on bestsellers like the Chevy Silverado, Traverse, and Blazer with special APRs, cashback offers, and exclusive McCurley pricing. Big savings, bigger purpose, but only for a limited time. McCurley Chevrolet, your way home.
If you've got a winery, brewery, or dairy, why buy industrial parts and supplies from across the country? Central Industrial Sales is your local source for supplies and equipment for the dairy, food processing, winery, and brewing industries. We specialize in custom fabrication, industrial cleaning equipment, sanitary fittings, valves, pumps, chemicals, and many other supplies. Everything's available through our website, by phone, or by dropping by our office. Call 509-375-4032 or find us at centralindustrialsales.com.
You're listening to Jamie Council on the Sports Council.
We're back on the Sports Council on 1340 ESPN, your Tri-Cities leader in sports, catching up with Missy Strasburg, head coach of Eastern Washington women's soccer, and looking to make a splash last year. Nobody expected anything out of you, and you guys just exceeded expectations. So tell me, what are the big names coming back, somebody that you can rely on? Because like you mentioned in segment one, you guys are old in a good way.
We are. I alluded to that big class we brought in 2022 as freshmen. That is this senior class. So they have really been in the mix in terms of turning the corner with this program, and we're incredibly grateful to them. But that's really the bulk of what this age looks like right now for us. Chloe Pattison is clearly the big name coming back, right? All the accolades, second team, all scholar, all American. There's a lot of monikers attached to her right now, which I think is really positive, both for her from a confidence level and for the program. But she will be the first to tell you, it's not just about her. And there's so many incredible moving pieces. Cam Willoughby, I think, is an incredibly underrated or perhaps maybe underappreciated goalkeeper within this conference. I do believe if we had done a little bit better job collectively and as a staff to help gain her a couple more shutouts last year, I do think, and Montana is incredibly stingy. So that's a really a high bar that's been set in the conference. But the saves that she can make are truly spectacular for anybody that's had the chance to see her live. She is a treat. She really is. And she is one of the hardest working, always wants more reps, always wants to be pushed type players, and has had some resiliency building moments that she certainly had to go through in her journey here. So we're incredibly proud of her. But I really want people to make sure, watch what she does. Young players, maybe goalkeepers that aren't 6 feet tall. If you're looking for a great model on who to really guide your game, Cam is an extraordinary example of such an impactful goalkeeper, right? Lainey Walker is the tandem with Chloe Pat up top. And again, she does so much of the grindy, kind of what you'd call the dirty work, right? And it doesn't always show up in the stat sheet, but there's a lot of moments in there for her and for us that we aren't successful if she's not on the ball in a gritty way, right? We were able to get a surprise bonus in Charity Freeman coming back for an additional year because she was a JUCO player. NCAA granted the extra year. So that was a fun Christmas gift conversation I think we both had on this has happened. I know you emotionally closed the door on playing. Obviously, you've done senior day, you've done the whole thing. Do you want to come back for one more ride? And she was all for it. So we joked a little bit, probably after running the first fitness test last week, if she still was happy with that decision. But, she is. And again, she's incredibly, I think more than anything, she's great on the ball, but she is our best pressing, ball winning wide player. And again, such a great example leadership wise, for our young players. We're old at the back. So Becca Gato coming back as a center back. Again, I am biased, right? We have Iris Mattern, who's a rising sophomore with us now. But I really think we have the best two center backs and the best 2-9 combinations across multiple schools, maybe not just the Big Sky. But they are a perfect balance of each other in terms of skill set. Becca being a much harder player, she's much more vocal. I'm not sure Iris is ready to take that over quite yet, and she would openly admit that. So I know she's looking forward to having another year next to Becca, and then both of our fullbacks with Ryan Ampey and Riley Arribas are so much more than what they do defensively. They're such a prominent part of how we attack in the attacking third. So Riley Arribas had multiple goals last year. Ryan Ampey's still looking for hers, and the team is very invested in helping her find that before she graduates. So it's already been a good, fun component of training. And then we have a transfer in Renee Sains, and she is Renee comes to us from Grand Canyon, went through a bit of a medical thing and thought she was done with her career. We ended up being able to pick her up. I saw Renee play as a youth player, recruited her when I was at a different school. Those are always nice moments on the transfer portal. But anytime you take a year off for any reason, especially a physical one, it's incredibly difficult to catch back up. And she has worked exceedingly hard to do that. And I know she's like any of us, you struggle when your expectation or your mind remembers who you are as a player, and you're trying to catch yourself back up to that. So we are very confident we're going to see really good things from her as she gets a little bit more comfortable, certainly with the group after spending the spring with us, So it's old. It's an old group. But we are
talking about the names. I'm talking like in my mind, specific goals, specific plays, specific things pop up with every single name you mentioned. So a lot of fun things going on with the people coming back. But what are a couple names that people don't know? Of course, there's always question marks of once you get playing, but who are some players that you're really excited about to see how it will transfer as a season gets underway?
Yeah, the new faces for sure, like all freshmen and even incoming transfers are, they're still trying to find their way right now, even with us. So that's part of this part of the, this phase of the season is trying to figure out what we have, who's rising, who needs some more help, who needs help in what area. And we're all kind of figuring that out still a little bit right now. But I do think in that sophomore class, we've mentioned Iris. Iris was, she basically took that starting position within days of preseason last year. But there's, Dakota Harris, right? Coco Harris has moved from the fullback position into the 6, the holding center midfield spot with, the graduation of Elizabeth Cole. And I think now that Coco has had a year with us, and she is such a special player on the ball. Her competitiveness, that was the first thing that we were drawn to when we recruited her, was she played with a bunch of players going to big schools, and that kid was running up and down the pitch, like just going to ground on people, trying to win a playoff game at the ECNL playoffs. So her competitiveness is probably easily in the top 2% of our team. Maybe just amongst all players I've coached, it's pretty special. So I think people are going to be excited to see her. You should pay attention to her, what she's been able to do to pick up what Elizabeth Cole had done for us. And always, we want to bring in players that are going to help grow that to a different level. And Coco's really been able to do that for us.
That was going to be my next question that you kind of answered a little bit is, forwards,
great, defense, all back four, goalkeeping, but the midfield is a little bit of a question mark.
It is, yeah. Like I said, we graduated Cole, and we're really grateful that we have a spring season, right? So we were able to get Coco transferred in, and Coco is a natural center midfielder. We did intentionally bring her in with that in mind for us. Kendall Moore returns as a junior in that attacking center midfield role, so that's a really pivotal place for us, definitely. But then the wide space, that's where our biggest question marks are going to lie, is what happens in the wide channel. Now, when I said getting Charity back was a gift, it is, because that's our experience right there in that position. But, Grace Terrell played there, Kat Cup played there, Jillian Martin played there, Isabel Moultrie played there, right? So, or Hurting. It's one of those things where we know that's going to happen. We know those players are going to graduate, and we hope we've done enough job recruiting the right players in from the youth side that are going to come in and pick it up pretty quickly. So, we have 2 young players right now that have really stepped into that role. But it's really, we have four freshmen that can play in that position right now. So I think Charity probably feels a little bit like she's, I don't know, herding cats is not the right word, but she's mentoring a lot right now, is what we'll say.
Work cut out for her.
She does. So, but she's elementary ed. She's a school teacher by trade. She's going to be. So this is perfect for her. But yeah, that's a big hole. Isabel Hurting was really, really good for us there last year. And, we obviously played 90% of the Big Sky conference without her due to that nasty concussion, right? So, things we think about that could have been, right, with that player back in the lineup. But the fact is she left a massive impact hole for us, productivity wise. So yeah, that is definitely one of our big question marks through the next couple of weeks, is who is going to step in and really own that position. Bella Bunnage also coming back. She's injured right now. Try another Tri-Cities player. She had really great minutes there last year, and she's versatile, so she can play at the center forward position and the wide midfield position. So we have a little bit to figure out as we get going here in the next couple of weeks.
Well, that's what all the fun is about. Missy Strasburg, head coach for Eastern Washington Women's Soccer. Thank you so much for your time.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
When we come back, we'll hear from co-offensive MVP of the Big Sky, Chloe Pattison. That's coming up when we come back on the Sports Council on 1340 ESPN, your Tri-Cities leader in sports.
If you've got a winery, brewery, or dairy, why buy industrial parts and supplies from across the country? Central Industrial Sales is your local source for supplies and equipment for the dairy, food processing, winery, and brewing industries. We specialize in custom fabrication, industrial cleaning equipment, sanitary fittings, valves, pumps, chemicals, and many other supplies. Everything's available through our website, by phone, or by dropping by our office. Call 509-375-4032 or find us at centralindustrialsales.com.
Fall is coming early to Krispy Kreme. Starting August 11th, pumpkin spice is back with our pumpkin spice cake and pumpkin spice latte. We're still escaping to Italy through August 17th, but pack your bags because Hogwarts is next. Starting August 18th, try our magical new Harry Potter donut collection. 4 house donuts plus a special sorting hat donut. Need a sweet school fundraiser? Krispy Kreme makes it easy and profitable. Just ask in store. Visit us at 2805 Duport Tail in Richland. Come in with a sweet tooth. Leave with a smile.
Looking for a great deal on a new Chevy? Now you can get more than a great price. You can make a difference. During Wheels Make Wishes Come True at McCurley Chevrolet, a portion of every new vehicle sold helps grant wishes for local Make-A-Wish kids. Save big on bestsellers like the Chevy Silverado, Traverse, and Blazer with special APRs, cashback offers, and exclusive McCurley pricing. Big savings, bigger purpose, but only for a limited time. McCurley Chevrolet, your way home.
Living in a rental shouldn't mean settling for poor-tasting tap water. With Soft Water Specialists, you can have pure, clean drinking water in your home, easily and affordably. Our countertop filtration system removes impurities, improves taste, and fits perfectly in any rental space. Plus, it can produce hot or cold water. No big installations, no hassle, just fresh, crisp water. Stay healthy, stay hydrated, and love your water again. Softwater Specialists. See why we have a 5-star rating on more than 600 Google reviews. Visit softwaterspecialist.com and love your water where you live.
You're listening to the Sports Council on 1340 ESPN, the Tri-Cities leader in sports.
Welcome back to the Sports Council on 1340 ESPN, your Tri-Cities leader in sports. Well, we just caught up with head coach of Eastern Soccer, Missy Strasburg, and now we're joined by senior Chloe Pattison. Chloe, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's your senior year, and
I know.
How are you feeling?
I'm very excited. It's like a bittersweet feeling of, I feel like this really could be a great year for us, but also just so sad that it's my last year probably ever playing any type of soccer, any sport. So it's crazy.
Bittersweet. And you talk about, the expectations, and last year, nobody expected anything out of you guys. And it's probably different this year where Eastern has showed what you guys are made of.
Yes. Oh, for sure. I think last year, us jumping that high and ending third was, I wouldn't necessarily say, I guess, a shock to the rest of the conference. I think they've always thought that we were good. We just couldn't put all the pieces together. So I think last year we finally were able to put the pieces together. But I know none of us were satisfied with how it ended. So hopefully this year we do get a ring at the end of it.
Looking for that ring. And personally, last year not only was good for the program, but was really a breakout year for you as a player, co-MVP of the Big Sky All-League first team. How did that feel? I know we talked about it last year, but just as you've had time to reflect on last year, what do you think or made the difference with that?
I think last year I really just tried to focus on enjoying every game. I think before my freshman and sophomore year, I just felt a lot of pressure. Like I needed to perform. I needed to do this. I needed to do that. And last year I kind of just took a step back and was like, at the end of the day, it's just a soccer game. I've been playing since I was 5 years old. Like I know how to score goals. I know how to do all of that. And ultimately also celebrating my team success, because I think my success is great, but it goes towards the team since it's a team sport. And without their support and everything like that, I don't think I would have been in the position that I was.
Absolutely. And you led the team in scoring, showing that you know how to put the ball in the back of the net. But it also opened up a lot of opportunities where you also had your fair share of assists. So talk a little bit about the play on the field that you have found with the chemistry of Eastern Washington women's soccer.
Yeah, I think honestly last year, everything clicked again. Like I was saying, I think up top, we like to do certain things where we're exchanging, we're moving, we're opening up pockets for the 10 or the wide players to do, to get in, cross, score, all the things. And I think we just finally, again, clicked together. I don't know. It was a weird thing where we just started scoring all these goals. And I started scoring all these goals. Kendall started scoring a lot of goals. Lainey, even Riley, who plays defense, everybody was getting in on the action. And so I think it just clicked. The chemistry, everything fell right into place, and it was amazing.
So heading into this year, how is the team feeling? Because last year you really proved a lot of stuff to not only the Big Sky, but to yourself. And now the bar has moved up.
Oh, yes. The bar is definitely raised a lot. I think the team is very excited. I think we're going into every practice, taking it day by day, working on the things that the coaches are pointing out to us that we need to work on. I think each game will take each game by game, but ultimately we're really looking to peak conference, hopefully doing our thing in conference. I know for us as a team, our expectations are to hopefully win 2 rings. We want to win regular season, and we also want to win the tournament. So I know for the team, we're going in there working hard, whether that's at weights, practice, meetings, we're paying attention, we're staying focused. So yes, I would definitely say the team's very locked in on this season.
And then you talk about conference, but then on the 17th, you have Southern Utah coming to your guys' home, and it's always going to be step by step.
Yeah.
What are you guys focused on right now in this part of the season, which is very early?
Yes. I think right now we're just focusing on all getting on the same page again. Obviously, we don't have that long of a break since we're a quarter system, but with all the new freshmen or transfers that we have, just everyone getting on the same page of how we play, our style of play, the pace of play, and just all of that. So right now it's kind of just restall back into everything.
And with Missy taking over the program last year, Coach of the Year, how has she kind of helped led your team's success? Because she's been a great leader for you guys, at least where it shows in the record book.
Yeah, no, she's definitely taken on like a huge role in our success. I do think our first 2 seasons, me being here 2022, we had a tough start, and I know that was tough for her as well. So I think she's also learned a lot from this whole process, and she's definitely pushed us to be way better than we were in previous years. And I think she's just continuously, day after day, her and all the coaches push us to be where they want us to be, and they expect so much from us that if we're slacking off at practice or not focusing, they're very quick to get us back on track. And they watch all the film that they need to. They point out all the things that we need to fix, whether it's fixing set pieces, corners, or transition, anything like that. They're very in tune and with what we need to do.
It's always hard getting started because you have to build a foundation.
Yes.
Long game, but now the foundation is built and you guys are starting to see that. And final question, Chloe, what goals do you have for yourself this year?
I definitely want to continue to build on what I did last year and my success last year. So I'm just hoping again to go out there and do what I need to do for my team. I know my ultimate goal for myself and my team is to end the season with 2 rings. And then selfishly for myself, I will say that I definitely want to not be co-offensive MVP and possibly just MVP myself. So hopefully just continuing to have fun, going out there, taking game by game since it is my last season, and just really ending my career on a bang.
MVP has a good ring too. Yeah. Chloe, I look forward to covering you this year. Thank you so much for your time.
Of course. Thank you so much.
Again, that is Chloe Pattison, a senior for Eastern Washington women's soccer. The Eagles at home on August 17th. Kickoff is set for noon on ESPN+. Well, that wrap up this week's show of the Sports Council. Thank you for joining me on 1340 ESPN, your Tri-Cities leader in sports. A reminder, the Sports Council happens 4 times a month, 11:30 a.m. on Thursdays. You can listen to this show not just over the airwaves at 11:30 on Thursdays, but also on demand at 1340ESPNradio.com via podcast. Wherever you get your podcasts, just search for the Sports Council, and it's also available via YouTube. So lots of ways to listen to the Sports Council and support our local sports community. Until next time, I'm Jamie Council. Now we go back to your originally scheduled Seattle sports program.